Thank you for watching the first episode of Minute with Bennett. Today I'm going to discuss the effects that COVID-19 has had on FSU athletics. So I have with me today Mr. Kenny Lassiter, our head athletic trainer, and Mr. Michael King. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Good.
Man, it's a beautiful day.
Good. So listen, the first thing I want to talk about is, I guess I'll start with you, Kenny. You know, as the head athletic trainer, what in the world was going through your mind when you heard about the pandemic and how it was going to affect our student athletes and the athletic department overall?
Well, to be 100% completely honest with you, I wasn't sure how Fayetteville State Athletics was going to be able to deal with a global pandemic, considering there were so many professional teams who were already postponing or canceling their seasons due to this pandemic.
Well, let's give the audience a little bit of a backdrop. So, March of 2020, we had to suspend athletic activity up until this fall, and so we, of course, we had a lot of students that were disappointed, and you guys had to sort of work behind the scenes to make this thing work. So, Kenny, I think about you, and I think about the fact that we had a plan in March. Then 2 weeks later, we had another plan, and 2 weeks later, we had another plan. So kind of talk to the audience about, exactly what happened, during that time period.
Well, all the plans were fluid at that time. It's one of those things where you kind of had to roll with the punches. There was so many new information coming out about what was happening with COVID-19 and ways to deal with that in the athletic population. There was still so much going on that everybody was really unsure of how to handle that at that time.
Okay, so I like this to be a very relaxed environment. So just tell our audience, describe to them like exactly what you went through, because you're dressing it up, but think about it. We had one plan week 1, we had another plan, and just really tell them what exactly happened with you, and of course there's a level of frustration that occurs. I know during the summer we were going back and forth 2 and 3 times a week. So just describe that.
A lot of meetings, a lot of research, a lot of dealing with, well, this could happen, but then we also have to account for what's going to happen if we come back and we have a whole bunch of positive cases. What are we going to do if we show up and we have to quarantine half of our sports? Like, what are we going to do in those cases as far as making sure we have proper PPEs for our student athletes and our staff? It was a whole bunch of moving parts that were going into things that we were really unsure of at the time.
Right. So we worked through all of that. We had a plan. We strapped that plan. We had another plan. We strapped that plan where we are today. So let's talk a little bit about where we are in terms of supporting our staff, supporting our student athletes. Exactly what has your department done in conjunction with the institution to make sure that we're all safe?
Well, some of the things that we have done first and foremost is just the education of what COVID-19 is, how it spreads, and then how to lower the risk of spreading that to other people. So with that being said, we had to have sanitation was the main thing inside of the athletic training room, sanitizing all of our equipment, sanitizing the athletic training room, making sure we had proper PPEs equipment such as gloves, masks, barriers. On top of that, we did a lot of baseline testing to start with all of our athletes. From there, we did a follow-up test 2 weeks later to rule out any more positives that we had. We're doing daily symptom check sheets. We're doing daily temperature checks. The training room is open by appointment only. We're issued individual water bottles and towels to every student athlete here on campus. The bottles are sanitized weekly, and we distribute those directly back to those student athletes. The towels are sanitized daily. Those are just some of the things that we're doing here at Fayetteville State to try to combat COVID-19.
Good. So for any recruits that may watch this video or our current student athletes, what's the message today? What are you telling them to do after they leave the athletic complex to protect themselves?
The biggest thing that I'm telling our student athletes or any recruit who may be coming in is the 3 W's. To wear, to wait, and to wash. Wear your mask properly over your nose and over your mouth whenever you're in facilities, whenever you're going to be in groups, and whenever you're training at a low intensity. To make sure you're waiting, keeping your social distance at least 6 feet apart whenever you feasibly can. And then to wash your hands, to use your hand sanitizer anytime you can, or whenever you come in contact with items that are used by multiple people.
Well, Kenny, I know that your job sometimes you may feel you're underappreciated because you're here early in the morning and you have to leave late at night. But I want to say publicly, hey, thank you for all that you do for Fayetteville State University as well as your team. I mean, you guys are amazing. I get emails early in the morning where you're here and late at night. So you're doing a great job, and I really appreciate you. The next
Thank you,
person
sir.
that we have on our episode today is Michael King. So Michael King serves as our facility director as well as our development officer. Mike, first before you start, I want to say congratulations to you. You were recognized as Employee of the Year at Fayetteville State University, and that wasn't done by me. That was you were elected by your peers here at the institution. So congratulations for that accolade.
Well, thank you.
Uh,
Very humble with with being receiving that honor. It's a humbling experience.
so Mike, you and Kenny work closely together. As your role as facility manager. Kenny deals a lot with the student athletes as it relates to the physical aspect of their well-being. You deal with the actual facility itself, just making sure that everything is in place. Can you kind of describe your role with preparing for where we are today? In other words, kind of talk about what happened with the university in March. What you had to deal with in the summer, and then where we are today.
Well, as Kenny stated, when the pandemic was upon us, it was a lot of research, a lot of meeting, a lot of working with facility management, getting the necessary PPE, floor markings, just signage throughout the facilities to ensure that the student athletes and even the students that utilize Capel Arena and Luther Nick Gerald's will be able to practice social distancing, having PPE at the sanitation stations that are placed strategically throughout the building will be accessible for them to if they forgot a mask, at the sanitation stations they have masks, we have sanitizer for hands, wipes, etc. But it was a lot of planning and working with facility management, man. I mean, it's a whole lot of late nights, a lot of phone calls, a lot of Zoom meetings, trying to prepare to get the building ready for when student athletes came back in the fall.
So the overall operations of our athletic complex. Can you talk a little bit about that impact? What we were able to do prior to March versus what we're able to do with the complex right now with the entire university.
Well, right now, I mean, it's long days just because CDC guidelines, you're not allowed to have the large groups inside of the buildings anymore. So you have to increase your scheduling. So we have teams coming in at 5 a.m. to do workouts just to utilize the time of the day. So that goes back to King having these long days and he's frustrated and tired. But that's what we're doing to ensure that student athletes stay safe. So we're all putting in long hours, long days, meeting to make sure we don't have overlapping times so that it allows the cleaning staff, facility management to sanitize and disinfect the space before the next group come in to minimize spread or contamination of COVID-19. But that's the biggest difference, man. It's just the planning and making sure that we don't have, a lot of people in the gym at one time, no mass gatherings.
Okay, so let's take off the facility hat and now let's put on your development hat, which a lot of people are familiar with your work in that area. So COVID-19 has definitely had an impact on, what you do as a development officer. You want to talk a little bit about that in terms of the effect that, the fact that we had to suspend football, which is a revenue generating sport for us, how that has affected us, and then, how you are able to make up that loss.
Well, yeah, around the country, football seasons and conferences have canceled football season, but more specifically here at Fayetteville State, the loss of football, we're going to lose about $100,000 from ticket sales, concessions, tailgating. But we sat down and we came up with a virtual homecoming campaign. Our Bronco Pride Cannot Be Tamed, partnered with the National Alumni Association. I just want to give a shout out and a huge thank you to Richard King team for assisting us with that fundraiser. We launched that on September 5th. It's a virtual campaign catered around the experience of homecoming, and it ends on October 31st. Sharing it through social media, on our website platforms, trying to solicit to alums, fans, community partners to assist in trying to recoup those lost funds from ticket sales from lost football season. So, but it's going pretty good so far.
Okay, so I know that you have we have that initiative which we had to put together quickly as we saw that the fall semester was not going to be what we wanted it to be. But then talk about our baby in a sense, the 1,000 Broncos, the one that the fundraiser that we use in order to gain scholarships for our students.
Yeah, well, the 1,000 Broncos, our umbrella organization, that's the lifeblood of our department. It generates the necessary funds for the coaches to be able to recruit student athletes. We do that. That's our annual campaign. We run that from August until May. That's our big push. 100% scholarships. You can access the information on our website at www.fsubroncos.com, or you can give me a call at 910-672-2565. I'll love to talk with you if you have any questions in reference to our 1,000 Broncos campaign. We've been doing that for about 5 years now. It's been a huge difference in the student athletic experience here and making us competitive in the conference and in the region. I think over the past 5 years, we competed for almost 20 championships. And I know the 1,000 Broncos has been a major push in the outcome of us being competitive and graduating our student athletes. So that's our major push, and we're going to do that and continue to build our membership through our 1,000 Bronco program.
Right. And I think this is a great opportunity to thank our 1,000 Broncos at this time. We really appreciate all your support as well as all of our donors. Every dollar that you give to the athletic department makes a big difference. So at this time, I want to thank both of you for spending time with me on my first episode of Minute with Bennett. And I want to thank all of our viewers for watching. In our next episode, we'll have our women's and men's head basketball coaches here to talk about their preparation for the start of the basketball season. Until then, I want to thank you for watching the FSU Broncos Sports Network, and go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Broncos.
Thank you for watching the show today. Please follow and like us on social media, and for more information, visit us at fsubroncos.com.